Are you looking for some fun learning activities to entertain your one-year-old? Then you're in the right place. In this video, I'm sharing 15 educational games and fun activities that will support your one-year-old's development. These activities and games are simple yet fun and engaging for your baby and will help encourage gross motor skills, fine motor skills, social and emotional development, language development, and cognitive development for your 12 to 24-month-old child. If you're new here, my name is Jess. I'm a former preschool and kindergarten teacher and mom of one who's on a mission to help moms of little ones navigate the world of early motherhood. I create helpful videos on pregnancy, parenting, educational activities for little ones, along with helpful product reviews. So I'd love for you to join me on this journey of motherhood by clicking the subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you're always notified when I upload new content. Now let's check out some fun learning activities for your one-year-old. So before we start, I created a free checklist of developmental milestones for your 12 to 24-month-old. I'll leave a link in the description box below, so definitely be sure to go ahead and grab that because it will be super helpful to refer to in your child's second year of life. So first, we're going to talk about some games and activities that will help develop your one-year-old's gross motor skills. Gross motor skills refer to the movement and strengthening of larger muscle groups of the body. So around the time your baby reaches a year old, he or she will probably be standing often while holding onto objects, cruising, which is holding onto furniture while walking, or even standing or walking without assistance. So from the time your baby is 1 to 2 years old, you will see them go from a beginning stumbling walker to a runner. So one fun activity you can do to encourage your baby's gross motor development is create an obstacle course. You can do this using cushions, pillows, tunnels, etc. We just use some pillows and tunnels, but if you don't have or don't want to buy the tunnels like this, then you can use a large cardboard box as a tunnel. But I love this activity because it's great for walkers or crawlers if your baby isn't walking just yet, and it gets them working those larger muscle groups. The next gross motor activity is a homemade ball pit. So you can simply use a pack and play or even like a plastic baby pool for this and just grab some balls from Amazon. I'll link some sets in the description box, but they're pretty affordable. But just plop your toddler in there and let them go nuts. They can crawl or jump as they play with the balls. My son also loved kicking his legs to move the balls around the ball pit. Another fun gross motor activity is building a fort. So this can be simply done with furniture and blankets. We actually just had this one set up in our kitchen and used our playpen with a blanket over the top and threw some pillows inside. But your little one will have so much fun crawling around inside. This is also a great activity for social emotional development as your child can engage in imaginary play. So we had some stuffed animals in our son's fort and he was like hugging them and pretending to put them to sleep. So that was really cute. So this last gross motor activity is for little ones who aren't quite walking just yet, but you can help encourage your little one to walk by walking with them. So first you would just start out by walking behind them while supporting them with 2 hands, and then gradually as they get better with their balance, you would guide them with only 1 hand, and then eventually encourage them to take steps on their own. So I just wanted to throw that little tip in here just in case your little one isn't walking just yet. Also, it's important to remember that children develop at their own pace, so don't worry if your child isn't doing these things right at 1 year old. As always, if you're concerned about something, be sure to speak to your pediatrician. So the next set of games and activities are going to focus on strengthening your child's fine motor skills. So fine motor skills have to do with the development of smaller muscle groups in the body, particularly hands and fingers. So a big fine motor development you'll see when your child is about a year old is the development and refinement of the pincer grasp, which is the ability to pick something up with your thumb and index finger. So between the ages of 1 and 2, you'll start to see your child be able to perform fine motor activities with more accuracy and control. Some of these include holding a crayon and scribbling on paper, placing pegs in a pegboard, stacking blocks, turning pages of a book, feeding themselves with either their hands or utensils, and pushing, pulling, squeezing, and sliding objects. One fun activity to strengthen fine motor skills, along with sensory exploration, is by letting your child play in a sensory bin. You can fill sensory bins with tons of different objects, but to show you an example here, we just actually used baby cereal as the base and then placed some little toys and a little spoon in there. If your child is closer to 2 years old and is out of the phase of putting things in their mouths, then you can use sand, but my son still tends to put things in his mouth from time to time, so the baby cereal is a great alternative option for this. Here they can practice using their fine motor skills by scooping the sand, playing with the sand in between their fingers, and manipulating the small objects in their bin. Just a disclaimer to always supervise your child very closely with all of these learning activities I'll be talking about, but especially the ones that involve smaller objects. So our next little game is called Car Wash. This is another type of sensory bin activity. So here I just took a shallow tray, but you could use a larger, deeper bin if you want. I just filled it with some dish soap and water and threw in some little toy cars in there with a fresh sponge, and your child can play around in the water and wash the cars. This is also a great imaginary play activity that will help with social emotional development, which we'll talk a little more about in a little bit. So activity number 7 is stacking. So any kind of games that involve stacking are great for fine motor skills. So you can do this in a variety of ways. This can be done using blocks, Legos, pegs, or nesting cups, just for examples. But these stacking activities are also great for developing hand and eye coordination, along with problem-solving skills for your 1-year-old. A really entertaining game that your toddler is sure to love is a mystery box. My mom actually made me this one when I was a teacher, but you could just use a cardboard box and place some kind of flap like this over a hole cut out in the top and place objects of various sizes and textures in the box. Then you simply have your toddler reach inside and grab them. When they're a little bit older, this is a great activity for them to describe what they're feeling or guess what the object is without seeing it. So this is something that my preschoolers and kindergartners used to love. You can do so many different activities with these mystery boxes. I absolutely love them. So the next educational game on our list is putting objects into different containers. This can be done in so many different ways, but here's an activity I did with my son in one of my fine motor activity videos. I took an old puff container and cut an opening in the lid and then had my son drop popsicle sticks through the hole. So you can do this with any kind of container or use multiple containers with different sized openings and set them out along with some objects that your child can place into different containers. If you want even more activities you can do with your 1-year-old to strengthen their fine motor skills, then definitely go check out my fine motor activity series after this. I'll leave a link in the description box for that as well. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful so far, then please give that thumbs up button a quick click and let us know in the comments which game you're most excited to try with your child. So around the age of 1, you start to see your child's personality really emerging. They start to express their emotions more, and you'll probably start to see that tantrum phase appear, which is totally normal, by the way. There are a lot of different activities you can do to support your child's social emotional development, which is how they interact with others, manage their emotions, and start to understand who they are. Imaginary play activities are a great way to support your toddler's social emotional development. There are so many benefits that come from kids engaging in imaginary play. Between the ages of 1 and 2, you will begin to notice your child imitating your actions or the things you say. So they love to pretend to engage in everyday activities that they see their parents or caregivers taking part in. Playing kitchen is an awesome activity because your toddler can pretend to do things that will become real life skills like cooking and eating. You absolutely do not have to have a play kitchen to do this. We do have this step 2 play kitchen, but you could simply grab some plastic bowls and plates and utensils from your kitchen and just create a dialogue with your child, talking to them about what they're pretending to eat and cook. We also have a little Melissa and Doug vet set that my son loves, but any kind of activities that engage your child in imaginary play are fantastic for supporting your child's social emotional development. There's also tons of opportunity for language development with these activities. So definitely be sure to engage with your child and use descriptive language to talk about what they're doing, and be sure to label the objects they're playing with. Another activity you can do to support social emotional development is play imitation games. So you can simply perform an action or make a sound and have your child repeat what you do. As your child gets older, you can make different faces to express emotions and then have them repeat while you verbally label what the emotion is. So from the ages of 1 to 2, you're going to see an explosion in your baby's language skills. During this time, they can understand more words than they can actually speak. They can follow simple directions such as come here or sit down, and they often point to things in order to communicate with you. By the time your baby is a year old, they can probably say a few simple words such as mama or dada, and by the time they reach 18 months, their spoken vocabulary increases to approximately 20 to 50 words. By 2 years, they can even start to put 2 words together to convey their thoughts. There are so many activities you can do in your everyday life to support your baby's language development. One activity you can do is simply to sing songs or recite nursery rhymes with your baby. The repetitive nature is great for developing their language skills. So reading in general to your child is amazing for language development. However, one game that I love to play is what I call I Spy. So you simply sit down with your child and open any book and just ask your child to find and point to different objects. Car. You see the car? Good job! What does the car say? Where's the doggy? Woof woof. Your child may not be able to do this right when they're 8-year-old, but they will be able to very soon after as their understanding of vocabulary, which is also known as receptive language, increases. The next game is called Copycat. It's simply an imitation game that involves repeating sounds. So you simply make a sound or say a word and have your baby repeat it. What does a piggy say? A car says vroom, vroom. Yeah. For more ideas on how to teach your baby to talk, you can check out my video on how to encourage your child's language development. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. So cognitive development is how children think, explore, and figure out things in the world around them. At around 1 year old, your toddler can now remember skills they have previously learned, such as rolling a ball or building with blocks. They also begin to understand the concept of cause and effect more and can comprehend the connections between certain actions. For example, they understand that if they have an open container filled with objects, the objects will fall out when they flip the container over. By 1 year, your child also understands the concept of object permanence, which is the understanding that if something is hidden out of sight, it's still there. Honestly, all of the above activities I just mentioned all help support your baby's cognitive development, but some simple, more specific games are hide and seek or peekaboo. Babies around the age of 1 year absolutely love covering themselves with a blanket and pulling it down when you ask where they are. Hide and seek is also a great cognitive game that supports gross motor skills as well as baby crawls or walks to find you. Be sure to check out the link below to grab my free checklist for your 12 to 24-month-old baby's developmental milestones. For more educational activities for your little ones, be sure to click that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these educational games and learning activities for your 1-year-old. Leave us a comment below and let us know which activity you're most excited to try with your child. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.